fun to shoot a video down here in this cold wind here. That's my videos here on Wong Kar Wai videos. And this is Assiniboine Park. That's the main complex behind us. It's a pretty big park. I may want to do is I'll take my car and I'll drive around a few places and get a few shots and I can just cut them in. Not that I'm a very good editor or anything. He is director of Hong Kong, so they don't have the censorship problems that they have with Chinese movies. And this is a famous movie that I picked up, Chungking Express. And what Wong Kar Wai does with his movies is they're almost like a soap opera. He puts 2 or 3 stories together, and in some cases, like a soap opera, they're all out of, keeps cutting back between the 2 or 3 stories. So if you don't know that, you'll get all confused and not be able to follow the story. But if you do know that, it's much easier to follow. Chungking Express is a great introductory to his work because it's 2 stories, but one story follows the other, so you don't get lost so easily. And the second story is the one that's so famous. It occupies about 2/3 of the movie, and it has Faye Wong in it. She's like a pop singer in Asia, like a major pop singer in Asia. She's like top recording person there, and sort of like Madonna, she occasionally does movies, always with Tony Leung. The next movie, this is kind of like a trilogy they did. Days of Being Wild came out in 1991. One of Gray's first films, and again you start to see the clock, the time motif in it. Leslie Chung is in it again, and Tony Leung appears at the very end of it in the end sequence, which was supposed to be a teaser for the follow-up movie, which was never made. They didn't have enough money because this one didn't do well enough. But Days of Being Wild, I'm not sure if you care for the characters a whole pile in it, but it's very interestingly filmed. Very interestingly filmed, and the characters, you don't mind them either. And sort of the central story is sort of like a sad one, etc. But it's not one that you like feel good at the end of the movie. You don't have that feeling. It's kind of a sad, you know, following people's lives. He doesn't really have a storyline so much. He's more or less just watches people. And it does have a storyline, but it's a very subtle storyline where they're just sort of, you know, did they change? Did they, you know, I think they learned something in it. These movies, I think they learned something, but it doesn't really have a real strong timeline. People said. But I think that that's also due to the fact that often his movies are, again, like a soap opera. They jump all over the place. So if you don't know that, you're all confused and you'll not see the storyline. So I would argue there is a storyline. To me, there's a storyline. I think the characters do change, or at least we get a little piece of their history, and we found maybe that they don't change. Maybe that is their history, that they don't change. That there's signs on them telling them they should change, but they don't change because they're sort of stuck in their mode or whatever. So that's that one. It is related to In the Mood for Love. That's a famous movie, In the Mood for Love. Huge reviews, a lot of people like it. I found it fairly slow moving. That said, when I watched it the second time, particularly on a big screen TV, I liked it a lot better the second time through for some reason. I seem to catch the details a lot more and the beautiful photography, and I seem to get the characters a lot more, which made it not boring anymore. If you understand the characters, it's not boring because you're kind of interested in what's going on with them and stuff. So it originally started off as a movie that he did make eventually called 2046, referring to the year when Hong Kong gets transferred over to China. There was a huge fear in Hong Kong. They thought Hong Kong was coming to an end, is what they felt. And what's happened is China's changed a lot since then, and I think they feel things will not change. And so a lot of people feeling like they're running away or from Hong Kong, that's changed. But anyway, In the Mood for Love morphed out of it. It was actually 2 movies put together, one about Chinese noodles soup or something like this, and 2046 became another project later on. So In the Mood for Love came after that. And it has Maggie Chung in it, who's a very pretty girl. And she was also in Days of Being Wild as well. A lot of the characters are. The last one in the series, I'm freezing out here with my fingers, is 2046. 2046. It has a huge Asian cast. I'll list them on the video here later on because I'm freezing. Can't move my mouth that way. 2046, I really like 2046. When I first saw it again, I didn't care for it at all. But I watched it a second time, once I kind of understood his work, and again, the idea of almost like a soap opera. You know, a lot of people that know his work would hate me saying that, but once you understand that he jumps around a bit with his story, that they're sort of segmented things, then you kind of can follow it easier. And the second time I watched it, I just loved it. Loved it. The story had changed so much during his creation of it. It took 5 years to make, and even when he had finished it, he said he'd like to have another year on it. So, you know, more editing maybe, or maybe a different storyline was cut out. The outtakes from it that they do show you indicate that the story was substantially changed, as often as stories are. He cut off huge sections. A lot of the cast are not even hardly used, and you know that they're part of the story. Probably over the 5 years became less important. It has the lovely Zhang Zi, and I believe that she came into the project later on. And I think when she came in, at that point, I think he was impressed by her screen presence, etc. And I think he made her part larger. And Fei Wong's story, which is supposed to be the centerpiece in it, and it still is, but I think it became more equally balanced than originally intended. He said the thing was supposed to have a lot more like special effects in it, futuristic stuff, but he says the budget just could not take it after 5 years to put it in, so he cut that part way back. And 2046 is an absolute fascinating movie. Too much to get in here. It's almost like a review of its own. But numbers are important. 2046 refers to the belief of that memory. That's what 2046 is. It's a place they travel to. It's a train, and it's a place. It's supposed to be in the future, but it's actually they go to the future to visit their past. People trust their past because it's unchanging. So they can trust that past, and they idealize it. Okay, I'm driving around here. I know you're thinking, Glenn, you shouldn't drive. Take pictures while you're driving, but I'm in a park here and there's no cars around here, so we're just going to do this anyway. I think it's a treat for advertising for our park here, so we'll just keep going here. Not a very fast speed limit here, so we can't go too fast. Where I'm driving to out my side window here, there's that big building over there, so that's where I'm driving to. Kind of just driving around the place behind the backside. The river is to my right. I let this guy go around me, behind me. Yes, so I won't slow him up too much. And my hands are thawing right now, and are just in agony right now. Oh. To the side here, that's the river.